Bat and Spider, Episode 2. Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Bat and Spider, Episode 2, Chuck. Here we are.
Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Man, you want to talk about gritty? We're going to get into it right at the bottom of the hour.
Mm-hmm.
First, we got to talk about making it finally to our second episode. As of this recording, still not in Apple Podcasts. Something we're working on, though. We got people behind the scenes pushing papers, calling Apple up, calling Cupertino up as we speak.
At least 5 times a day, I have people calling Tim Apple, or whatever his name is. Tim Cook.
Yeah, we know what his name is.
And, sorry, not Tim. Tim Cook is his name, is the man's name. I'm sorry.
I'll get that in post.
Yeah. It's going to be on Apple. This is going to be a real podcast. We're going to be able to tell our friends about it eventually.
Right. And who knows, by the time this episode comes out, we may have already been in Apple Podcasts for days.
Yeah.
And people have already listened to episode 1, The Driller Killer. Still up there in the pantheon of Bat and Spider movies. I still think about that.
Started off strong. Yeah.
Your artwork for that episode, amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Pamela is Baby Day? Was her
Baby
name, right?
Day. What a name. What a great punk rock name.
Yeah.
She's still around. She's like writing books, I saw.
Really?
Yeah. She still lives in New York.
She's probably in that same building.
Probably.
Chuck, we have a couple more things. Since the recording, throwing together these various edits of episode 1, I did indicate at the beginning of that episode, but we now have a voicemail line that you can call, and we have an email address that you could, if you wanted to send a voice memo or have your letter read live on air, batandspiderpod@gmail.com is that email address. And we have a phone number, 315-544-0966. Now, Chuck, you're probably wondering, this 315 area code, what's that all about?
Yeah, what is that all about?
Where did you pull that out of? So, Google Voice used to have, back, I think, when Google Voice first premiered, you could like search out words and try to get a number but that doesn't exist anymore. Okay. So 315 is the area code for Carthage, New York, which is the birthplace of John Carpenter.
What?
That's the only reason why I picked
That's
that
why
phone
you
number.
picked it?
Yeah.
That is beautiful. Dale, that makes me so happy. When you told me the phone number, I opened up my little phone app and I was trying to see. I was like, oh, can we spell something with this,
Yeah.
Did we get lucky?
Yes.
But there's a 0, which has no letters assigned to it. So I was like,
Yeah, so in every area code you choose, they give you like 10 to 15 numbers to choose from, and they're just random. So there's I would have had to go through each area code in the U.S. to try to find like bat or spider or something, and it just wasn't happening. So
I want to go to Carthage, New York, and spray paint our logo on the birthplace of John Carpenter.
That would be beautiful. Our logo is amazing, by the way. Another Chuck Forsman Jesus H logo. Beautiful. It's that stark white and that ghastly image or that font.
Yeah, just wanted something simple. I didn't even want to put words on it, honestly, but I had to put words on it.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's cool.
I think eventually, when we do get a couple tens in the can, we could probably take the words off. Everybody will know.
Well, everyone will have Bat and Spider t-shirts by then.
Oh my God, I'm dreaming.
I mean, black or white. I don't know. Which one do you want? Black t-shirt or white t-shirt? I mean,
black t-shirt with like the white worn.
Oh, yeah.
Or vintaged.
Been through the wash a few times.
Jesus.
A few thousand times since 1984.
My hot ass third floor recording studio just got hotter thinking about.
You got some AC in there now, though, right?
I do. I bought a window unit in this third floor here, and I haven't had a window unit in years, and I read all the reviews, and they're like, this Frigidaire, the quietest window unit. Yeah. This is the bedroom window unit you need, and a window unit, my friends, is still loud as H.
Yeah. They can't, there's no way, I don't think they'll ever, it's like one of those things, they'll just never solve that problem. They got to be loud.
And they sell like the, the wall mountable rectangles, but then you have to run a condenser outside and stuff. And I don't even know about that.
No.
People want to pretend like that's easy.
No. And it'll break in like 5 years. And then, yeah.
Yeah, holes in the wall.
Yeah. I just moved into this house. They put AC units in the bedrooms upstairs in the walls. But they were like 40 years old, these AC units. So we took them out and then we had holes in the wall.
Yeah. And then you got this big gaping hole in the wall. I used to have one of those. It's just like you're going to, the AC unit is going to stay in there long after anything's good about it, you know?
Yeah.
Makes me sick.
It's disgusting. Well, I wanted to talk also, since our recording, we got the final version of, the track is named The Murder Hour by a good friend of the show, Toby Forsman.
Love that guy.
Of Whipsong Music, whipsongmusic.com. But I sent Toby a message. I said, hey, me and my friend Dale are making this podcast. We need something creepy. It sounds like maybe it's in an Italian giallo movie or something like that.
Mm.
And boy, this guy, he's good. He's good. I gave him a few references, some description words, some descriptors, and he knocked it out of the park.
But Toby Forsman, he took this and he ran with it. And I'm gonna go ahead and spoil this. He's got multiple versions.
Yeah.
And they're all just as good as the next. I want this on MP3.
Yes.
In my playlist, because it's fantastic, and I am so humbled that he did that for us. It's amazing.
We should also just release just the song too, as a separate episode or something, just so it's up there. That would be cool.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah. He's probably worked harder on this podcast than we have so far. If I'm not, gonna dilly dally about that. He cranked it out. Like I asked him to do it,
and he did it.
And he did it like he spent like 2 weeks. He kept sending me like new versions and updates, and
it took me 9 days to edit episode 1, folks.
Yeah,
9 days. Toby Forsman.
But what a good job you did, Dale.
Thank you.
I'm so happy I'm not doing that.
It's only going to get quicker from here. Now, I was waiting on some software from, I bought a piece of software that's going to help us out a lot, but, their customer service just wasn't up to to par.
Customer service all over this country is just not happening right now,
Oh, yeah. Everybody, you know what? And I'm fine with that. Everybody's circling the wagons, and they're playing it safe right now.
Yeah.
I myself, every breath I take, I'm convinced. I keep taking deep breaths because I'm convinced at the top of that deep breath, I'm going to feel a rattle in my chest.
Oh, God.
Like every breath, I'm convinced that it's there, just waiting to start revealing itself.
Oh, God.
So I'm not in a good way. Not in a good way.
Yeah.
CBD gummies don't work.
No.
Nothing works.
We drove to Home Depot today I don't want to get too personal, but we got a movie to talk about. We went to Home Depot to pick up our new electric battery-powered lawnmower.
Nice.
And Melissa and I are sitting in the car with our masks on, waiting for the lady to bring that up. But like, too many people out there not wearing masks, Dale.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
I mean, I get it. I didn't have a mask. I was still going out there without a mask, but
you were in your car.
Yeah. Well, I got out to help them load it in because it was a big thing. But yeah.
We'll get through this truck,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We're fine.
Sure.
We're fine.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So Tetsuo the Iron Man. Before we get into that, special shout out to our friends at the 70mm podcast. They are the friends who, they didn't pressure us to start a podcast. It's always been in us, but our friend Slim does his darndest to kind of push people to strive to be their best. And he knows what's in us. He knows. And
you did a podcast with Slim for years called Paper Keg, which is how I met you guys.
Yeah.
Which was a comic book podcast. And Slim, he's just, he's inspiring. When they started their 70mm pod all about movies, what's their tagline? Never been done before, a movie podcast? Something like that?
It's the first one. So this is
the second one, probably.
Second movie podcast out there.
First about horror movies. Probably the first horror movie podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, they put together a good show, and we're here to see what we can do.
Give them a listen, 70mm.
Yeah, check them out. Hot stuff.
Let's get into Tetsuo the Iron Man, episode 2, Bat and Spider.
Tetsuo the Iron Man is the story of salaryman and a metal fetishist and their parallel journeys into a world where flesh becomes iron. And that's pretty much it, right?
I think you're pretty on the nose about that. There is nothing, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but that is it. There's not really any other plot besides that, and you get to see in all its raw glory the quest of two men to become something that they were not at the beginning of this movie.
Yes. And one of them maybe wanted to become this, and the other one, it's more against his will. But this is going to be an interesting exercise because this movie is it's all about the experience of watching this. Like, this is not an experience that you can describe, even though we're going to try for the sake of our listeners. But yeah, there are not many movies, I feel like, that give this type of an experience. First, I want to say though, this is a lean running time. It's like 64 minutes, I think.
64, 68 minutes. There's all the chuff is cut off of this bad boy.
Oh, and can I say, like, to the movie gods, like, wouldn't mind a few more 60-minute movies, if I'm going to be honest.
Right.
Movies are getting a little long.
And especially with this, and we're gonna talk about this, but the experience of watching this, there's not like a whole lot of dialogue or stuff. There is a lot of just watching things happen on screen for probably 40 minutes of this.
Yeah.
This movie. It is just viscerally watching like hyperkinetic motion on screen. It's wild. And I'm a little scared of this. Like, back when I would be reviewing comics, I never had much confidence in doing that. But these kind of comics that really are more like, I don't know, think pieces of the word. But it's scary to talk about because I don't know. I honestly don't have the confidence to speak to it in a way that might sound professional. So I'm going to do my best to kind of like conjure the emotions that I was feeling.
Yes.
During this, because it's like, how can you I feel like I'm so out of place to try to critique something like this.
Totally. I feel the same way. And but the thing about, I feel like this show is like, because I just want us to be true to ourselves and just use the words we have to describe our experiences with these movies. It doesn't have to be academic. Or, sound smart. I wish I was smart. Every day I tell myself, man, I wish I was a smart guy.
And honestly, who knew? Second episode in of our drive-in movie quality podcast, and this is the kind of stuff we have to deal with.
I know.
These are the kind of issues, there's not so many podcasts out there. We're the second one that, eventually a podcast is going to come across this. So let it be the second podcast specifically about horror movies.
Okay. Sorry.
Black and white, 16 millimeter film.
Goes from regular movie making of, shots of things to stop motion.
To like ultra graininess in shots to...
Yes.
As clear as a 16 millimeter camera could be.
Lots of fast editing.
Some of those shots of like the actual human beings, set aside the wiring and stuff like that, but a human having to do that much stop motion.
Oh my God.
It must have taken 36 hours in sunlight to do, some of the shots they did.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get to it, but there's like many shots of their rocket feet scenes where their feet are rocket powered, flying down the street, but it's just stop motion of someone standing still
with like little sputtering rocket engines out of their disgusting ankles.
Yeah. So this movie just it just jumps in. There's no hand holding. Like, I read the plot synopsis afterwards to sort of make sense of exactly what was going on. 'Cause it jumps into dreams without warning. It jumps into fantasies without warning. You're not exactly sure like it'll cut to the metal fetishist like at many times during this movie from other scenes, and you're not sure. Like for a while, I thought the metal fetishist was inside Iron Man
because the way they would cut to him, he was like curled up in a ball.
Yeah, because it was like it was a dark little enclosure, and it seemed like he was like inside the guy or something.
So I would. You talked about that. I would recommend watch this movie and then absolutely read the plot like on Wikipedia or something, because it will really guide you and help you make sense of what you just watched, but not in a bad way, because it's not explaining anything more than what's on the screen. You're seeing everything. You just might need some help making sense of some of the shots and stuff.
Yeah.
So the opening sequence of the metal fetishist, I mean, I was immediately in love with some of the shots of him walking down this alley in what part of Japan is the most decrepit warehouse district ever. Yeah. It was like disturbing in a way that these buildings existed, and he would focus on like these rusty barrels or these rusted metal corners of buildings and stuff like that. Yeah. And so this metal man, he went into his workshop or his like little hovel in this warehouse district, and he's got pictures of like basketball players on his wall, but also intertwined with like these coils of metal and this rusted pipes and stuff like that. And so opening sequence, luckily it got better for me because I didn't think I would be able to handle.
No, there's a period of adjustment that you need to go through with this movie, because it is like, it's like stepping on glass. It's like, this whole house is broken glass. Everywhere I walk in this house is going to be broken glass. Okay, I guess I got to just get used to it if I'm going to be here.
Right, yeah, because there's no comfort on your eyes at all.
Yeah, and so we're introduced to this guy. So the metal fetishist is played by Shinya Tsukamoto, who is also the writer, director, producer of this whole shebang. This is his first, I guess, feature length. I guess it's almost a feature length.
Yeah.
I forget what the actual running time has to be, but he made like 2 shorts before this and then this. But he stars as the metal fetishist, and the scene ends essentially with him shoving a rusty rod or like screw, like a really big one, into his thigh flesh. Was it his thigh? I think.
I got my stomach just started churning. You talking about it because I flashed back to it. It was definitely his thigh, and I mean he just takes it's like rebar or something, and he just shoves it right in there. Like he cuts open his whole thigh, and he just shoves that sucker right in there next to his bone and muscle, and then he duct tapes his thigh shut because he just wants to he wants the metal inside of him.
Yeah, it's not like it's like he needs it. Like there we'll get to it, but there's a very heavy sexual sexual nature to this whole thing. Like, and even just that scene of him shoving this rod into his leg, it's very
I'm great, and I'm grateful for the technology wasn't there for him to pursue this level of disgust for the rest of the movie, because it was so realistic that it was disturbing. And then he freaks out. And then after some time, so the camera cuts to him unwrapping his leg, but presumably some time has passed, and there's like maggots in the wound, and things just, I don't know if things went his way or if that's exactly what he wanted, but he freaked out. He freaks out and he runs out in the middle of traffic. And come to find out, you find out that he gets hit by a car, but you don't really understand that what was happening at the time.
I did like that. I liked how it was played, like it was so confusing and weirdly shot that of him getting hit by the car that it takes reveals later in the movie for you to figure out, like, oh, that was him getting hit.
Yeah, especially when it happened, it was so chip chop, and and then there's like that couple of the salaryman and his girlfriend like screwing against a tree. Yeah, but it turns out that it's from his point of view. Yeah, I was so like from the callback of it, I was like, oh my god, that's insane.
Spoilers. It's the salaryman and his girlfriend who hit the metal fetishist.
Right. And they were so enraptured by the fact that they got away with hitting this person and then throwing him down the side of a hill that they they banged at the top of the hill. They
Yeah.
couldn't handle each other's lust.
Yeah. They just had to. They had to top that feeling of ditching a body with an even better feeling of
Right.
being close to their significant other.
Right. To one another. And then, so come to find out, basically in so many words of what Salaryman did, he basically has been cursed at this point because he didn't kill the metal fetishist.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this. Was he infected somehow, like by hitting? I mean, I think it's just not really explained.
Yeah, it's not explained. I took it as since the metal man knew it was him, he basically cursed him in his own way. Like he's just like, thinnered him, like instead of thinner.
Yeah.
It's like metal.
Thinner.
Yeah. And
Metal. You will cut yourself shaving. Just kidding. No, but that's is that where the reveal is he's shaving and he like, or he feels this piece of metal in his cheek? I can't exactly remember.
Yeah. So yeah, he so you find out something is up with Salaryman because when he's shaving with his razor, he's got this huge shard of tin like sticking out of his cheek, and he doesn't even notice it right away. Like you as the viewer immediately notice this thing.
That was the most unbelievable shot. Like now that I'm coming back to it, where he's like, "Oh, what's this?" Like I didn't see this for the last 5 minutes.
Right? He's like, "I was over here shaving the other side of my face." Oh my gosh!
I was so focused on this cheek.
There's this whole tin piece of shrapnel sticking out of my cheek, and he goes to even just pluck it out of his chin or his cheek, and his whole cheek like explodes with squib all over the mirror and his own face. I mean, and that's where the troubles start for Salaryman.
Starting.
He puts this square bandage over the wound, and he heads to the train station, probably to go, be a money man,
earn his salary,
and he's sitting next to a lady who notices this clump of breathing, steaming metal, wires and coils wrapped around this clump of aluminum foil and stuff like that. But it's there's a certain nature of like a living nature to this clump.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this movie looks like it was like imagine like an art school metal sculpture guy just creating
that's great
nonsensical garbage from a scrapyard. That's what everything in this movie is made out of just scrap. Of I think I read a lot of it is the insides of TVs and stuff, and but yeah, so he's sitting on the bench with this girl, and she looks down to see this metal blob thing. And this is my mouth was already open, but when this scene started, this is when I was hooked in, and I was like, this is my kind of movie.
Yeah, it was getting it's whatever happened here, it didn't pull any punches, and anything you thought that could have happened was thrown out the window. With just total anarchy of your eyes.
Here we go.
From the moment she notices this blob, she reached down to touch it, and instantly, within the next 2 minutes of the movie, everything is happening at such a rapid pace.
Yeah, it's gross, and it's super low budget, but it works so well because I think it's 16 millimeter black and white. They get away with a lot of what was probably pretty janky looking in real life, but it turns into really beautiful. I mean, any frame from this movie looks going back to art school analogies. This is a kid obsessed with Nine Inch Nails and his photograph mixed media project, his gallery show when he's graduating. His parents come and I'm oh, this is nice, son. That's what this movie feels like.
Dad clearly doesn't really have a clue about what's
this is what I spent all this money on. But it's beautiful, and doesn't her hand also? Does her hand turn into a claw too?
Oh yeah, within a minute. I mean, her hand just becomes this clump of metal with these tubes within tubes for fingers that the tubes inside the other tubes grow out and retract, and then
looks like maybe rebar, like a little rebar in there.
Yeah.
And it turns into like a chase, like, because she's just like, okay, now I want to kill the salaryman. And, you know, he's got metal growing out of his face, which is covered with a Band-Aid because he's just going about his day. But it turns into this amazing chase.
An amazing chase that just gets more like this. It goes from this train platform to the disgusting parts of like the sewer and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he is just trying to fend her off. I think he like at this point or another point, I mean, there is definitely like large like things stuck inside necks or thighs repeatedly just to kind of fight this woman off.
Yes.
With just gushing. And eventually she's mostly metal. And he goes home and he's talking to his girlfriend. She just keeps repeating in her head like she can't believe they hit somebody. Like, this is after. Imagine him saying to his lady, like, drops her off for the night. All right, I'm going to work. Like, she's just like in the corner rocking back and forth because she's so torn up about hitting somebody and then, you know, doing the nasty on the tree. And he's like, well, I got to go to work. I got to go. I got banker's hours here. I got to go.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's trying to calm her down. And she comes over. Does she come over after that? And
yeah, I think so.
The rest of the movie basically takes place in the apartment, like a large chunk.
Yeah, big chunk of it. Yeah, and so there's like, I remember, I'm not exactly sure the order. Like, this movie's so schizophrenic. There's the eating scene where he makes dinner and she's eating it, but she is making these horrifying metal screeches and in like a sexual way, the way she's like teething each bite of food and the fork.
Yeah, and
he's just like staring like like he's like you can tell the metal is taking him over because he's loving this.
Yeah, he's totally loving it, and he's like, there's a little bit of him that's still alarmed that he's loving it, but yeah, like every scrape of her teeth on the fork is just like Freddy Krueger's claws on like a pipe or something. It's just like metal screeching metal.
And then there's like a dream sequence. I only knew this because I read like the Wikipedia afterwards, where it's his, like he's dreaming about his girlfriend, but she's got a metal cobra coming out of her stomach.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
It's like the nicest way I can put it.
Right.
And she looks super like gothy, like dark. Like it almost just looks like dirt is like smeared all over her. Yeah. And her hair is crazy. And it ends with her cobra going inside.
Oh my gosh. Like the total roles are reversed and she's got this living metal out her frontispiece, and it's
amazing.
It is like amazing. Snaking around, and it's, you know, he's sodomized by his lady and her new penchant for for metal fronts. You know, it's wild. It is wild, and the entire time where he plucked the tin out of his cheek, like the bandage is just pulsing, and like it's like a pillow filled with air, and it's like as if what you're just witnessing on screen is not awful enough. Mm-hmm. Like whatever is going on underneath that bandage is just about to erupt. Like at any second, it's like David Lynch craziness.
Yeah. It's the only thing that's keeping this movie together in our like psyches.
Yes, is that band? Yes. Oh my god.
Yeah. Are you ready? Do you see the Band-Aid pulsing, Dale?
Right. Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna split open at any second, and with it, the rest of your sanity.
All through this, the metal is slowly, even more and more, taking him over. Right. Like.
Yeah, like an arm, bicep, a piece of his chest or something. After the sodomizing scene, is it back to real life where he grows his metal friend coming up from under the table.
Which kind of makes sense. If he was like, if that was growing on him, it's like a giant drill, basically, on his frontispiece.
Right.
It's almost like, it made me think of that Puppet Master guy, the drill head guy.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because it's kind of like that. It's just like a very slow, but like really thick drill.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Does he try and kill her?
Yeah, he tries to...
like he kind of loses it and he's like, I'm going to kill her. I don't know.
Right. I think I think he intends on doing something with that metal drill.
Yeah.
And she tries to fight him off and he ends up killing her. But in the process, she does like shove this steak knife deep into his neck, like repeatedly.
And it does seem like she wins and he dies, right? That's the way they play it. Yeah. But she's like straddling him, probably in the worst position possible for him to come back to life. And he does.
Yeah, and then after he's seemingly dead, she starts like licking his face. Like whatever transpired, she's down at this point.
Yeah.
She's not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
Because he's dead, but he's not dead.
No, and she dies. I don't know if we want to describe that, but you can probably figure it out.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. Luckily, is left to the imagination,
Yeah.
but it's implied that things happen. And from that point, I mean, he's like in the apartment for a big majority of the movie at that point, and he has this like altered states reality of coming in and out of this like dream consciousness, where he's just, I mean, the metal presence on his body is just exponentially getting bigger and just more disgusting. He's becoming like wholly metal, and it's not just in the shape of a person, but it's in the shape of like, the general shape of a person or like a golem or a giant. And he just gets bigger and more disgusting at that point.
Yeah.
And he gets a phone call from, oh my God, I just realized he gets a phone call.
Yeah, he just calls him on the phone. Which
like
is
after
insane.
all that,
yeah,
the metal fetishist just calls him on the phone.
You'd think
and he's
he could just
laughing.
talk to him through the metal, like Swamp Thing or something.
Yeah, after all that's happened, and all the powers that the fetishist possesses.
No, the metal fetishist just went to a payphone or something to call his bud.
And this guy, the metal guy is like running for the phone.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to miss picking up the phone.
Yeah.
At this point, what is his body doing to himself, but he can't miss a phone call?
He's a salary man. Maybe that's his job. Maybe he's like a receptionist and it's ingrained in him. He has to answer that phone.
I just happened to reference my notes.
Yeah.
And some of the notes I did take was when him and the woman were wrestling and killing each other, essentially. And one of the very few lines of dialogue in this movie, "You want to taste of my sewage pipe."
Oh my God, that's right.
That's what he says.
I want to take another sidebar. I do, the amount of dialogue could fit on probably like a quarter of a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But what dialogue is there is awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
I think I made, what is the line that almost everyone in the movie seems to say, or I guess maybe it's just the metal fetish. He's always says, does he say, "Come on," over and over again? Like,
oh yeah. When he's going through
I wanted to make some joke that's like the actual name of this movie is "Come On," because he like just keeps saying it over again. "Come on!" Like, and I don't know. I don't know what like maybe that's not an accurate translation, because to me it's just like it's like a dude in America. "Come on, man!" Like just saying it over and over again. But it's it's weird in this movie, but I like it.
One of my other notes, his cheek overflowing as he was getting reared in the bee. So, that's where we're at.
Oh, but it's
so real.
Everything is so beautiful in this. And then our guy, and then he's trying to kill himself too in his apartment by shoving a fork into the outlet in the wall, trying to kill himself with electricity. But of course, like Godzilla makes him stronger.
Right.
He's just soaking up all that electricity, and he's growing even more and more disgusting into the Iron Man.
It's just so crazy to think about. This is just a guy's first movie, or one of his first 3 movies, and this is I mean, this is what he had planned on making all along. Like, this was his story. And I think it took him, like, what, 300 weekends or something crazy, like 150 weekends to do it. Or
it was like
something
18 months it took, like, to film this thing. And, you know, I mean, that's, again, this is probably going to be a theme that comes back for me in many episodes to come, is the theme of people, passionate filmmakers making a movie with like not very many means and even the ability or even you know, maybe they don't have the ability or the know-how or the money or the people, but they managed to make it happen.
And they did it, and it invokes a reaction on the screen.
Yeah.
Whether it's you know, cheesy or not, it's invoking a reaction, and the story is there. Whereas once there was a blank page or there were no walls. Now there are 4 walls on a story. It's
and you can tell somebody is driven and cares and is like, you know, this is their purpose in life for however many years it took. Like, they wanted to make this thing.
Yeah.
And I always react to that. But yeah, and then it's just basically a fight between these two guys.
Right. And there's a whole lot of there's a whole lot of threatening of the fetishist to come after the salary man, and then then you really get into the non-human aspect where it's just like coils of wire in a stop motion. Like, this whole sequence, Chuck, and probably some younger viewers might not even get the reference, or some younger listeners, but this whole sequence reminded me of Liquid Television on MTV.
Oh,
like, remember?
Oh, yeah.
There were so many cool vignettes in Liquid Television, but then there was these vignettes that was just like, man, this is just an art piece, or like, this is some crazy stuff on film. And Liquid Television was cool just because it had that.
Yes.
On cable.
Yeah. It was like, I mean, Liquid Television, I mean, I think it was like college student films that they found, you know, just like weird things, and like, hey, we're gonna put this on MTV. Okay. So that was like, that whole sequence invoked that. I was like, man, this is like I'm watching Liquid Television all over again. And that sent me on a big Liquid Television Wikipedia trip earlier today, because I just the other thing that kept coming into my mind, I mean, I brought up 9 Inch Nails before, but the video for bow down before the one you were, you know that song?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that video? And it, like, they're playing it, you know, in this like white room with all these wires and things and monitors, but then it ends with like, it's like Trent's head made out of like wires, and his eye is a little TV monitor, and it's spinning. It kept like making me flash back to that, and I always wondered if there was some overlap there, or like of one of these guys influencing the other, at least, or, you know, or whoever directed that video.
Because when I was like, this is like Liquid Television, I'm like, no, this Liquid Television is like Tetsuo the Iron Man. Tetsuo the Iron Man came out first. You know what I mean? If this was 87 or 89, but still, like, but that's what it invoked for me.
Totally.
Yeah. And after that, the metal vignettes of stop motion stuff, it's basically the fetishists they're fighting in the most abstract way possible. They're a fight, but he's basically threatening to destroy the salary man, but eventually they combine.
And there's like a foot chase too, where this is one part of the movie that really confused me, and I think the metal fetishist, they were out running around Tokyo, like, with their speed skates on. And the metal fetishist, like, ends up in another abandoned building, and he gets beat up by like a homeless guy.
Which turns out to be his first memory of being a boy, and that's when he got first introduced to a metal rod, because he got beat up by it.
Which I love. Like, I almost wish I was smart enough to put it together that it wasn't like literally happening right in, you know.
Right, because I was like, who is this? Who is this? Like, derelict
I was like, why
man?
did he just kick his ass so easy? Like, I was like, whoa, that's one strong bum.
Totally, man. He had just this beautiful 3-foot rod too. I mean, it was like the cleanest piece of metal in this whole movie.
Look at the rod guy has. I guess it comes to a head and they decide, instead of killing each other, that they're going to team up and they become this amazing...
My God.
Like
Amazing is a word for it.
I don't know how I'm going to describe this. Like, kind of like a tank, but like metal morphing up into, reaching up into the sky, where like I think the fetishist head is in this like long, almost like the alien from the Abyss, like that type of thing. Like, but all metal, like crinkly wires together, and their heads are just like floating around in this massive metal, and they just go down the street, and they and they're just like, we're gonna destroy the world, we're gonna turn everything into metal. What's the line? Like, they turn everything into rust and
rust. We're gonna turn this, planet back to a big rust ball or something like that. Yeah, that, and that's the way it ends. Like, that's like, oh, okay, new mission, new horror movie.
Yeah, that's my kind of ending. I mean, that, like, I'm so glad it didn't do anything like any like resolving, or like, you know, like he gets back to his human form or something, you know, and he kills the other guy or whatever. I like that it's just like, no, we're gonna keep taking over and destroying, because that's what we've become. That is what we are now. We're just a metal blob that's, you know, just gonna, you know, it's like almost like a virus or a parasite or something, you know, they're just like become programmed to do this one thing now.
Yeah, you're right. Like, there's no standoff at the end, and Salaryman, the good one, not good because he did hit somebody, and
True.
but there's no like recovering from what is about to happen. Like, the 60 minutes that you just experienced, which presumably is, you know, maybe a day in the life of Salaryman, like, exponentially now this thing is going to snowball, and just picture the carnage or whatever horrors are about to happen, and that's the way it just ends. Like, there's no happiness. This is what happens. Metal fetishist gets his way.
You know, I love this movie. Like, I keep wanting to say, you know, be hyperbolic and say I've never seen anything like this. Like, I mean, I'm sure, I feel like Eraserhead is probably like the closest thing I can think of that is like kind of analogous to the experience of watching this movie, but it's also like not like it's very much its own thing.
We watched it on I think you and I both watched it on Shudder.
Yeah,
it's on Shudder. It's on other streaming services. The director went on to make 2 and 3 of this movie.
Yeah,
Tetsuo 2, Dead by Dawn. Oh, I don't know. It sounds like Tetsuo 2 is a lot like Evil Dead 2, and that it's just almost the same movie but with a bigger budget.
Tetsuo 2 : Body Hammer, which is, I mean,
that's amazing.
Thank you. I don't need to watch it. I like the title.
I know.
But yeah, he made that like 3 years later. Looks like he bumped up to 35 millimeter and 20 more minutes. And then all the way in 2010, he does Tetsuo the Bullet Man. Which there doesn't say what it's shot on, so it's a mystery. Yeah, and I'm very much looking forward to checking both of those out. But I think no matter what those are, they're not going to take away from what this is to me, because I feel like this was like a special driven, you know, moment in his life and all the actors and the crew that made this. And I guess, you know, we should touch on like I didn't do a ton of research, but it does seem like this was a very tough shoot, and a lot of crew members were just quitting because they just couldn't take it. And I guess they were all like living together. Like, I don't know, were they living in that apartment together? Like they were shooting in?
Yeah, it sounds like
losing their minds.
It sounds like everybody but the Salaryman luckily didn't live in this predicament for, I mean, it's a year and a half. I don't know if it was on the weekends only, but, you know, because they were still working. But everybody was living together except the actor who played the Salaryman. And by the end of the shoot, Salaryman was doing like the lighting for the Tetsuo or the metal fetishist shots because it was just the two of them left because everybody just had to walk off. They couldn't work with. I think the director probably had some, his own vision, and nobody else could cope in what was happening. And there was probably, who knows, budgetary issues and whatever else.
I'm sure to make this movie happen, he is possibly a difficult figure to be in the room with, maybe for long periods of time. Probably. I don't know. I really don't know, but
probably so many like sheet metal cuts and injuries.
God, all that metal and like just like attaching all that metal to the guy, to Salaryman. Like, how did they do that? Like, again, you got to just see this movie because it's very hard to describe what they did,
and especially in a way that was continuous, right? Like, so one weekend they get 5 minutes worth of footage. But Salaryman is completely covered in this suit. How do they deconstruct it in such a way that it comes back?
I know.
In almost the same way, What? It's crazy.
I know. I mean, I have a feeling they must have shot just in order, like as much as possible. But who knows? And maybe they did all the stop motion after they shot the main footage. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Who knows how
stop motion in 1989. I mean, that's not a quick process.
No. It's inspiring is what it is.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. Wow.
There's a great thing from the director. He later admitted he had considered burning the film's negative because the whole production had been such a bad experience.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think he is maybe a monster. I think he understands like he's driven, but he does. I think he understood how hard it probably was.
But probably like, three quarters of the way through it, he's probably like, we're almost done. Can we just finish?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now in hindsight, he's probably like, no, I was young and dumb. Probably that's probably what the excuse was.
Do you think he kept telling his excuse? It's only a 60-minute movie. It's short. We'll be done in no time.
Yeah. What if this were a 90-minute movie?
Yeah.
Be thankful.
I could understand you wanting to leave if this was a 90-minute feature, but this is only 64 minutes. Right. Get it together.
He's producing his own movie. He's like, we got to keep these tenuous relationships going. Just live with me for another 3 months. Live in this house, this apartment with me, please.
Please. Just stay over. We can work more hours if you just stay here physically instead of going home to your family.
You think I'm asking? I'm asking Salaryman to stay here too, and he's not coming. He says he wants to go home.
Don't be like Salaryman. He is not dedicated.
Right. Crazy movie though. I mean, it's an experience. I'm glad I got to watch it. Set aside some time to watch this cult classic. I mean, it's like 77% fresh.
Yeah, I was surprised at how people like it. I did look at Amazon reviews and I found a pretty good. You know what? If we have time, Dale, if you'll indulge me, I'm going to go to the Amazon page because there was a pretty great review of a guy who just absolutely hated this movie. And it kind of made my day.
Nice.
But while I'm looking for this, that reminds me, Arrow Video just recently, I think this year, they announced they're doing a a box set of his movies. And the first two of these are included with probably 5 other movies he did. I'm very hyped on that box. I think it comes out in May from Arrow Video. I might pick it up.
Chuck,
because I really want to see more of his stuff.
I tell you what, I mean, Chuck Forsman, 2 to 3 years ago, I made the decision to just go all digital in my life and not clutter up my stuff. Yeah. But you, above
many times.
All my friends, I mean, the way you take on these gorgeous, curated, Vinegar Syndrome release, limited release movies and stuff like that on physical media is just a thing to behold, and it makes me jealous and it makes me want to buy in on this kind of stuff because just like the director making this movie, there's these people at Vinegar Syndrome or Arrow Video who are like putting loving effort into keeping these movies relevant with special features and physical media and stuff.
Yeah. No, it's inspiring. Like I get excited about it, and sometimes I'll spend money I probably shouldn't spend and like order a bunch of these DVDs and they're beautiful and I love them. But then there's also like, it's like, why did I do this?
Yes.
I don't need to have these.
Right.
So I go back and forth. Like I feel like once or twice a year I get really excited and I buy a bunch. But it's tough because they are these types of movies where it's like you're sifting for the gold, so you're like, a lot of the times I'm just blind buying these by their description, and like maybe a few clips that I've seen. And sometimes they're just like, they're really bad. I have no interest in them. But the good thing about Vinegar Syndrome is you can throw those puppies on eBay. They sell real quick because people want them, because they're all very limited runs and a lot of them sell out. So, so the ones that don't connect with me, I easily just flip on to another Vinegar Syndrome lover.
Hashtag Vincent.
There's like 5 bad ones, and there was one that just I loved, and I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, I'm going to read this one because he has no. Just to preface this guy has no, like, there's no spaces when he puts a period down. There's no space after it. Any punctuation, no space after it. By the way, okay. This movie is shocking, all right. Shockingly bad.
Got him.
I had heard about Tetsuo for about a year and a half. A half is spelled as one word, and thought it sounded really interesting. I finally decided to buy the movie and was absolutely disgusted. I saw it once and thought it was junk, and then I went back and read all the great reviews the movie got. So I decided, okay, let me see it again. And I was right. It is junk! ! No space. Never have I seen such a contrived art house wannabe movie. Everything fails from the scenery to the acting. I know this movie had a very low budget to operate on, but even still, the special effects are horrid. Not a single second did I feel that I was turning. Did I feel that he was turning into metal, because it just didn't look like it. Anyways, I wish I could have an hour or so that I spent watching this trash back. I can only hope that the director of Tetsuo sees my review and gives me my money back. I paid $24, by the way. Anyone who reads the other reviews, don't believe the hype.
Jeez.
It's tough being an artist, Dale.
Yeah, I can't imagine the.
Because you got guys like this who think they own you. They think they own a piece of you, and they can just treat you like trash.
You hate to see it.
I'll just read one more. We can cut these out if they're no good. Okay. 1 star. This movie was just a long, boring art film. It was more of a series of senses and montages as opposed to a plot and story. If you're, spelled Y-O-U-R, a film student or like pretentious art films, then you will probably enjoy this one. It's ripe with imagery, and you can destruct and prepare to Fritz Lang. If you aren't a film student and just want to watch an entertaining movie, this isn't it. Get Old Boy or 3 Extremes. 6 people found this review helpful.
6 people. That's 7. 7 people total.
Sorry, I just enjoy this. These kind of, when especially a movie like this where you just know it just like.
Yeah, it's just like some set people off the wrong foot.
Yeah, they can't handle. They can't make heads or tails of it, and they just can't. They just don't understand how like anyone could watch this and like get anything out of it. I find it fascinating.
And even more so that, since this drive is in them, they got to take it somewhere. They got to take it to Amazon.
Oh yeah. They can't just let it be inside of them. They have to yell at the rooftops of Amazon.
What a treat. Tetsuo the Iron Man.
Man.
Episode 2 of Bat and Spider. Another one in the books, Chuck. Another good one.
It was a pleasure.
Don't forget, we have an email address. If you want to send a voice memo from your phone. I know a lot of people do that nowadays. You're driving home in your car. You're standing at the bus stop. Just talking to that voice memo app, and email batandspiderpod@gmail.com, or you can just send us an email and we will read your email live on the air.
Yeah.
We also have a telephone number formed from the birthplace of John Carpenter, Carthage, New York. 315-544-0966. Go ahead and just put that in the contacts of your phone. That way, at any point in time you want to leave a voicemail, just call that number, dial up Bat and Spider in your phone, and give us a voicemail, and we will play that live on the air as well.
Yeah. Add us to your favorites list right next to Mom. If you don't call us, we may call you. Warning. Fair warning.
What if we started like if somebody writes in and say they liked a movie or something like that, we call that person in the middle of the night and read bad Amazon reviews to them?
Dale, this is what I'll say. If you write us an email or send us a voicemail and you want to possibly be called by the hosts of Bat and Spiders while we're live on the air, leave us your phone number.
Wow.
I mean, that would require me figuring out exactly how to do that, but I think we can do it. I really think we can do it.
Other than Slim, Chuck is definitely tech guy, so he's going to figure that out, and that might be a nice little treat.
I may look like Tetsuo the Iron Man after I figure it out, but I'll figure it out. Next week, we will be watching The Bird with the Crystal Plumage by Dario Argento.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm excited. I've never seen this. This is like the Dario Argento Giallo movie to watch. This is what everyone says. Baby. So, yeah, join us next week and watch The Bird with the Crystal Plumage.
Yeah, check that out. Leave your review, email us, leave us a voicemail. That's it for this week. Bat and Spider episode 2, another one in the books. Chuck, I'll see you next week.
See you next time, Dale.
Love you.
I love you. Our theme song was created by Toby Forsman of Whipsong Music. Find out more at whipsongmusic.com.